Hello everyone! I hope that you're doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Shikha and I welcome you to my channel. I wanted to do a video in one of the busier sections of Puerto Vallarta today. It's pretty quiet considering there's so much traffic going through the street, but it is one of the main streets and this street is parallel to the beach. So if you just go down that way a little bit, the beach is right there. And so that's why obviously there's a lot of traffic here, because people are going and they're turning into some parking lots or, going some different places. And so I walk down the street a lot. And so I thought I'd kind of do a video here to show you, one of the streets I spend a lot of time in. But also to talk a little bit about some more INFJ stuff. I get a lot of questions from INFJs who are on my Facebook group. And if you haven't joined yet, please do, not because I'm promoting it for myself, but it's actually really useful. There's a lot of people on there who are very supportive, very kind, and they spend a lot of time answering questions or supporting each other. It's a great community, so I'm really, really grateful that it's there and it's a resource for all of you to use. And one of the people who, asked me a question directly, PM'd me about it, said something like, how do we limit negative self-talk? Now, of course, this negative self-talk is not just a problem for INFJs, of course, right? Like, it's not just like an INFJ thing. Maybe we are a little bit extra critical or extra harsh with ourselves, for sure, because we are perfectionists and we have this idea that we need to be perfect all the time and we need to maintain that level of perfection, which is not even possible to maintain for that long or to even reach. We have this idea that we need to get there, and if we don't get there, then we're failures, and then we berate ourselves for it, we put ourselves down, we get angry with ourselves because we're not good enough, and then the whole spiral of negativity, being mean to ourselves, criticizing ourselves, not taking care of ourselves properly because we think we don't deserve it. All of that stuff happens in a cycle, a vicious cycle that just repeats itself over and over again. The problem with negative self-talk is twofold, of course, right? There's one part where obviously you're being negative towards yourself, and if you believe in the idea of vibrations and if you believe in the idea of energy, all of your cells are listening to this negative self-talk and assimilating all that negativity into themselves, into their vibrations, and so they're not able to trust themselves, they're not able to believe themselves. You yourself are not able to trust yourself or believe in yourself. Your self-esteem goes down. And probably a lot of times you'll notice that in your phases of particular negativity that your immune system goes down because you're putting yourself down so much that your cells are taking on that negativity, and of course they don't function as well when they are dealing with all that negative energy. Now that's just a quantum idea behind it. So that's one part of the reason why negativity is so bad for you. It can make you sick, it's not good for you, it's not good also, secondly, for your projects. So if you have negative self-talk, you think you're only negative to yourself maybe a few hours a day, and it shouldn't be such a big deal. But the problem with it is that you're negative to yourself, and then your self-esteem drops because you're like, well, I'm no good, I am a terrible person, I don't do anything good with my life, I haven't produced anything. What am I doing in my life? I'm a waste of space, whatever, however you talk to yourself. And then that causes your self-esteem to drop. And then a person who's not in the highest frame of mind is not necessarily going to go forward and go forth and work on their projects. They're not going to be extremely excited or motivated to work on the things that they care about. Yeah, they'll do the basic minimum, the absolute minimum, and then that's it. Like, they won't do anything beyond that because they just can't motivate themselves. They can't get themselves to that space where they could do the work that's necessary, right? And so you spend your life in a haze of negativity and mediocrity where you don't get anything done, and then you hate yourself even more for that because you're not getting anything done, and then the negativity increases, and then you get even less done, and then you hate yourself more for that. And literally, it's like, as I said, a vicious circle or a cycle which continues on and on until you're so debilitated that you can't even move your finger to tap on a keyboard or to scroll on Instagram, You're literally sitting there like a zombie because you just can't muster up enough energy to do anything that you should be doing or want to do. Even getting food for yourself becomes extremely hard task, so that you're just like, oh, I want to eat, I'm hungry, but I can't be bothered to get that food for myself, to get sustenance for myself, right? Of course, you don't take care of yourself, your health deteriorates even further, and then like it just, it's just not a good cycle to be in. And I know because I've been in that cycle many times before, and I always constantly tell you there are 3 or 4 things that always help me out. And I've already mentioned them many times before, but I'm going to mention them again. But I'm also going to add to it a little bit. But of course, one of the main things that helps me when I'm in this spiral of negativity, because I still sometimes do get into it, the change with me, or the difference, is that in the past, I would get into the spiral of negativity and I would stay in it for a while. Sometimes weeks on end, sometimes days on end, sometimes hours on end. But it's basically a lot of time spent in that spiral, and obviously all of that is wasted time, right? Now what happens is that because I've trained myself, because I've learned certain methods to cut that negativity right away, I notice that I do spend much less time in that spiral of negativity. So I would say, I don't even think it's halved. I think it's much more like maybe 1/10 the time. Sometimes I don't even spend any time at all. I know that instantaneously I have to cut that freaking cycle out, and that's one of the things I'll be speaking about. But it is, as you get better at it, you'll notice that you won't spend as much time in these cycles, and therefore you'll be able to get over these negative phases of your life, and then you'll be able to move past it very quickly. And that means that, the faster you can move out of it, the faster you can get back to doing things, living life, getting back to things that make you feel happy and good about yourself, right? Because the more time you spend in that negative spiral, the worse you feel about yourself, right? So of course, I'm going to mention meditation, journaling, and physical movement of any kind, being in nature, going for a walk in nature, or going on a hike, or just walking in the city, with music that you love or running, swimming, any kind of activity, dancing in your living room, whatever you like to do physically, that's all great. Of course, meditation and journaling, as I said. But those are like the basics. Like they're like the foundation blocks, right? Like I'm always saying that you should be or trying to do these things every single day, at least for 5 to 10 minutes. They're literally the basic building blocks of a healthy lifestyle and a healthy mindset. If you don't have these 3 in your pocket, like on a daily basis, it'll be very hard for you to pull yourself out of these negative spirals very quickly, right? It's just, as I said, the foundation, the building blocks. Of course, after that comes self-care. And I've done many videos on self-care. Weirdly enough, it's very hard for an INFJ, not weirdly enough, astonishingly enough, because we are human beings and we should we're very good at taking care of other people. So it really is surprising to me that we're just not good at taking care of ourselves. We will be brilliant at taking care of a little puppy that comes our way, or a tree that we're taking care of, or like a plant, or even a succulent, anything, like little things like that. We'll do it. We'll do everything that we can. We'll stay up at night wondering about how to make their life better. But that we can't even do a little thing for ourselves to ensure that, we're drinking enough water, or we're eating enough food, or we're getting enough sleep, like the basics. It's just so difficult for us, right? So really, as I said, the foundation, meditation, journaling, movement, and then the basics of self-care. Make sure you get enough to eat, make sure you drink enough water, make sure you get enough sleep. Like really the basics, right? Once you do that, because what will happen in your negative cycles is that you won't be doing any of these things. In fact, if you normally do them, you will cut them out of your life for a few days, few weeks, and you'll just be sitting there, either moping around or watching too much Netflix or reading too much manga. That's what I do. I read way too many comics, and that's when I know that I'm getting into one of these like phases of negativity, or getting into like a rut of some sort. And so, the point is to kind of pull yourself out of it, as hard as it is to pull yourself out of it, and to do one of these things. Either make sure that you're drinking enough water, which is easy to do apparently, but not very much so for an INFJ. Make sure you're getting enough food in your system. Really seriously make sure you eat every 3 to 4 hours. Really, I know it seems like a very basic thing to say, but when your blood sugar gets low, that's when negativity is really, really high. For me, at least, I notice that if I allow myself to get into a point where my blood sugar gets extremely low, I automatically get angry. I automatically get upset. I automatically get negative. It's just your brain needs sugar to function. And so make sure you do that. Or if you haven't gotten enough sleep in the last few days, make sure you try as much as possible. Use lavender essential oil, or take a hot bath, or do something. Do some like restorative yoga. Do something in order to make sure that you fall asleep and get at least 6 to 7 hours, if not more, of sleep. And that'll really rejuvenate you and bring you back up to the basic level, The final thing I would say, the most important thing, is to cut it right away. As soon as you have a negative thought about yourself. For example, if I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, if I'm looking at myself in the mirror, oh my gosh, look at my skin, and then I have big pores, and whatever it might be, you start thinking about these things. It's a very minor thing, but if it happens, instantaneously, as soon as a negative thought comes, cut it out and replace it with something else. Don't even think about it. Don't feed it. Don't let it fester. Don't let it become bigger than it actually is already. Cut it out immediately and replace it with something else. Usually what I do is if I notice myself going into a negative state of mind, I'll start reading something very positive. I have lots of books on hand. I'll just pull one up and I'll start reading it. Or I'll watch some funny video on YouTube, or I will talk to my sister or my mom or some family member or friend. Or I'll just do something nice for myself. I love food. So, I'll cook something nice for myself and I'll eat it. Literally, it just has to be like instantaneous cut, so you don't think about it. Then what happens is that it pops up again. Cut it again. It pops up again. Cut it again. In the beginning, it might take you 10 or 15 times to cut it out completely. Maybe even longer. Maybe thousands of times. Well, maybe not maybe not thousands, but hundreds of times maybe. Don't worry about it. Just keep on doing it. Eventually your brain will understand that you don't want this kind of thought. Your subconscious will understand, your mind will understand, and it won't present that thought to you anymore. Do you understand? So just cut it out. Eventually just automatically will be cut out. Yeah. Maybe it'll take a little bit of time, but it will happen. It's happened for me, and I've done this many times with many negative thoughts where they would come up over and over again. I'd cut it out over and over again, and eventually it would just disappear. So that is my suggestion for you. Again, very long video, I know, but hopefully this helps. It literally is stuff that I've done for myself and that's worked. If you have questions about this, obviously message me and I'll do a follow-up video. Again, thank you so much for your support, and if you're interested, join Soul Vitamins, the community that I'm creating, and the link is in the description below. All right, thank you so much. Bye.